The galactic fleet broke through the edge of the solar system like a storm of silver spears. Thousands of ships glimmered in the dark, engines humming with quiet power, their metallic hulls reflecting the pale light of distant stars. Every civilization in the Galactic Union watched the live broadcast. This was history, first contact with a lost planet known as Earth. For centuries, Earth had been silent. No signals, no probes, no response to any transmissions. It was once believed to be the origin of humanity, a species that vanished long ago after their wars burned their world. The Union sent expeditions before, but none returned. This time, they sent an army. At the front of the fleet, the flagship Orion's will hovered in stillness. Inside, Admiral Vorotan stared at the blue planet now filling the main screen. His eyes, cold, golden, and reptilian, narrowed. The planet looked calm. Too calm. Surface scans complete, reported his sensor chief. No defense systems detected. No radio signals. No thermal signatures beyond natural weather patterns. Nothing, the Admiral asked. Nothing alive, came the answer. The words settled over the command deck like dust. Every officer exchanged uneasy glances. It was strange. Planets always made noise. Even dead ones gave off static. But Earth was perfectly quiet. Vorotan turned to his communications officer, broadcast the standard greeting. The officer nodded, claws tapping across the console. A signal pulsed out. Peaceful, polite, the message of the Union. We come in peace, to share knowledge and unity. They waited. 1 minute. 2 minutes. 10. No answer. The Admiral folded his hands behind his back. Prepare the first landing squad. From orbit, small scout ships descended toward the surface. Cameras streamed live to the flagship. The planet below was hauntingly beautiful. Blue oceans, green forests, white clouds drifting lazily. But the cities, they were ghostly. Concrete towers stood half-buried in dust and vines. Massive bridges stretched over dry rivers. Metallic ruins shone under sunlight, cracked and silent. Lifeless, one pilot whispered. But everything still works. The buildings have power. How? Another voice crackled through comms. Before anyone could answer, a strange vibration rippled through every ship. The sound was low, almost too deep to hear, like a heartbeat through metal. Admiral, detecting a global energy fluctuation, the sensor chief warned. Origin, underground. Vorotan frowned. Explain. Massive power signatures beneath the crust. It's not geothermal. It's artificial. The bridge lights flickered for a moment. The heartbeat-like vibration grew louder. Then, silence again. Vorotan's scales prickled. Recall the scouts. Down on the surface, one of the teams stood in what used to be a control center. Dust covered every console, but some of the lights were still glowing faintly. One soldier brushed away debris from a screen and froze. Command, we found something, the soldiers said. A message is looping on all systems. Play it, the Admiral ordered. A voice echoed through the fleet, faint, distorted, but clearly human. Stand by. Human defense protocol active. The entire bridge went silent. Defense protocol, one officer whispered. Against what? Against us, perhaps, Vorotan said quietly. Suddenly, the feed from one of the scout ships cut off. Static filled the screens. Then another, and another. Lost contact with units Alpha and Delta, shouted the comms officer. Any debris? Any readings? Negative. They just vanished. The Admiral's claws tightened on the railing. His voice dropped to a cold whisper. Get every ship back in orbit. Now. The fleet began pulling back, engines burning bright. But something strange was happening to Earth's magnetic field. It was changing, fast. The blue planet shimmered slightly, as if a veil was lifting. Sensors screamed warnings. Power levels on the fleet scanners went off the charts. Admiral, the science officer said slowly, there's something under the South Pole. It's huge. How huge? Bigger than any city. It's moving. On the main screen, a crack appeared in the icy surface of Antarctica. It spread like a scar, miles wide. A faint glow, Deep, crimson, seeped from beneath. "Is that magma?" asked an officer. "No," said the science chief. "It's energy." The admiral stepped closer to the viewing window, his golden eyes reflecting the growing red light. "Whatever humanity built," he murmured, "it's not dead." The entire fleet trembled as a pulse of energy rippled outward from the planet, a wave so powerful that it disrupted every ship's systems for a full 3 seconds. Lights flickered, engines stalled, alarms wailed. When the system stabilized, everything looked the same. Earth floated below, quiet, motionless, beautiful. But deep beneath the ice, far below the oceans, and under the forgotten cities, something ancient was stirring. In the command deck, the communication systems suddenly blinked. A new transmission appeared. "Source?" the comms officer asked. The signal was weak, buried under static, but it was real. A single human word echoed through the silence of space. "Wait." The admiral froze. His pulse quickened. "Did we just get a human voice?" "Yes, sir." Confirmed. It came from Earth. For the first time in hours, Admiral Vorotan felt fear. He turned slowly toward the planet, watching its silent oceans. "Something's watching us," he whispered, "and it's letting us know we're not welcome." The bridge went quiet again. Only the steady hum of the ship's engines filled the air. Outside, the fleet hung in formation, facing a planet that looked asleep. But beneath that silence, every sensor hinted at the truth. Earth was not dead. It was listening, and it had just woken up. The next galactic sunrise over Earth was quiet, too quiet. From orbit, the planet looked peaceful again, as if nothing had happened. But Admiral Vorotan didn't believe it. Something was alive beneath that calm blue surface, and he could feel it watching. The galactic fleet stayed in high orbit, silent and tense. Inside the flagship Orion's will, every officer worked with shaking hands. The command deck lights were dim, the only glow coming from the holographic image of Earth spinning slowly in the air. "Admiral," said the science chief, voice trembling, "we ran analysis on the energy pulse from last night. It's not natural. The signature is synthetic, structured, and," he hesitated, "encrypted." "Encrypted?" Vorotan turned sharply. "By whom?" The scientist swallowed. "By humans. The pattern matches old Terran communication codes. But these codes are impossible. They use energy waves, not radio. It's like they're using the planet itself as a transmitter." The admiral's tail twitched slowly. "Then they are alive," he whispered. He ordered 3 scout teams to descend again, carefully this time. No weapons, no aggression, just exploration. The small alien crafts fell through the atmosphere like streaks of fire, each carrying drones and scanning units. They split across the planet, one to the ruins of North America, one to the deserts of Asia, and one to the frozen South. The North America team landed near what old records called New York City. The skyline was broken, towers split and bent, bridges collapsed into the river. Vines crawled up skyscrapers, wrapping glass and steel in green silence. Lieutenant Farrell, commander of the ground unit, stepped out in his suit and looked around. "Sensors reading power sources below street level," he said. "Old but still active." One of his soldiers crouched by a shattered console sticking out from the ground. The screen flickered to life, glowing faint blue. Static whispered across it. Then a voice, faint, recorded long ago. "Stand by. Human defense protocol active." The same message again. The aliens looked at each other nervously. "It's still running after centuries," Farrell murmured. "That shouldn't be possible." They followed the power readings underground. The deeper they went, the stranger things became. Perfect air, dry tunnels, clean metal walls untouched by time. Then they found it, a door sealed with black alloy. Symbols carved on it glowed faintly, not alien, but human letters. One soldier translated slowly, her voice echoing through the empty hall. "Do not enter." Before Farrell could respond, his comms crackled with panic. "Sir, we've lost contact with the Asian team." "What?" he barked. "Signal gone. No trace." Then, seconds later, Static from the Antarctic team too. All gone. Back in orbit. Alarms blared through the fleet. Admiral, 2 scout ships have disappeared, the comms officer shouted. Vorotan's golden eyes narrowed. Find them. We can't, sir. No energy residue. No explosion. They just blinked out, as if they never existed. The Admiral gripped the railing. His voice dropped low. They are being taken. The bridge fell silent except for the steady hum of the ship. Every officer could feel it, a growing pressure in the air, as if the planet below was aware of them. Suddenly, one of the remaining scout ships, the North America team, sent a new signal. Admiral, a voice gasped through the static. We found something, deep under the ruins. It's not a bunker. It's a... The transmission cut off. Commander Farrell, report. Vorotan barked. No answer, only white noise. Then something else appeared on the comms channel. Faint breathing, then a whisper, distinctly human. We told you not to enter. The entire command deck froze. The voice was clear, calm, and filled with quiet anger. Trace that signal, the Admiral roared. Trying, but it's not coming from one place. It's bouncing around the planet. Every continent, every ocean. Vorotan's scales rippled with tension. That's impossible. So, said the science chief softly, I think the humans built a planetary defense network. The whole world might be alive. The Admiral turned back toward the window, staring down at the blue orb below. Alive, or haunted, he said coldly. Hours passed. The fleet tightened formation, weapons charged but not fired. No one dared to move closer. Yet Earth's magnetic field began shifting again, slow at first, then faster. A strange pattern appeared in the readings, almost like breathing. Admiral, sensors are picking up rhythmic energy waves. It's pulsing every 8 seconds, said the chief. Show me. The hologram of Earth flickered, and lines of light spread across its surface, from pole to pole, glowing faint blue. It's forming a network, the chief whispered. And it's locking onto us. Shields up. Vorotan ordered instantly. But before the shields could stabilize, the fleet's main power dimmed. One by one, ships went dark, drifting silently through orbit. No attack, no explosion, just darkness. Panic filled the air as crew members shouted status reports. Engines offline. Navigation dead. Comms not responding. Vorotan's voice cut through the chaos. Quiet. He waited. Slowly, the lights flickered back. Systems restored. Everything worked again. But something was different. Every ship's screen displayed the same message in glowing blue letters. Do not interfere. The crew stared in horror. The Admiral spoke softly, almost to himself. They know our language. The comms officer looked pale. So, if they can write inside our systems, they can control them. Vorotan exhaled slowly. Then Earth has just declared its first warning. He turned toward the viewing window, watching the silent world below. It looked peaceful again. Oceans calm, clouds drifting like nothing had happened. But now the Admiral knew the truth. This was no dead planet. This was a fortress. And whoever, or whatever, lived there did not want company. The galactic fleet hung above Earth like a wall of steel, their engines cold and silent. No one slept that night. Every commander, every technician, every soldier felt it, the weight of the planet watching them. The ghost world below was no longer quiet. It was waiting. Admiral Vorotan stood alone at the viewing window of the Orion's Will, hands clasped behind his back. The blue globe shimmered beneath him, oceans glinting under sunlight. He could almost imagine the old human world, crowded cities, radio chatter, space signals. But now there was only stillness. Stillness and a heartbeat. The sensors picked it up first, faint rhythmic pulses deep within the Earth's core. One every 10 seconds. The sound was like a slow drumbeat echoing through the void. Admiral, the science officer reported nervously. The energy readings from the planet's mantle have tripled in the last hour. Origin? Vorotan asked without turning. Unknown, sir, but it's spreading. Power lines under the crust are activating in sequence. It's like the officer hesitated, like the planet is waking up. Vorotan's jaw tightened. How much power are we talking about? The officer swallowed hard. Enough to power our entire fleet 1,000 times over. The command deck fell silent. The hum of machines filled the air like a whisper of fey. At the same moment, far below in Earth's frozen south, something began to move beneath the Antarctic ice. Cameras from the last surviving scout probe still orbiting at low altitude captured it, massive cracks spreading outward for miles. "Admiral," shouted the comms officer. "We're getting visual feed from the South Pole." The main screen lit up. The ice was splitting apart like glass under pressure. Red light poured out, not magma, but pure energy. From within that light, a shadow began to rise. At first it looked like a mountain. Then the scanners corrected themselves. It was metallic. Structured. Engineered. A colossal construct of black alloy was emerging from beneath the ice. It's a ship," the science chief breathed. "No, bigger than a ship. A fortress." The admiral's voice dropped to a whisper. "How long has it been there?" "Judging by the ice layers, tens of thousands of years, sir." The bridge was dead quiet. Everyone could hear the steady hum of the alien engines, not from their fleet, but from Earth itself. Then, every ship in orbit went dark again. One by one, engines flickered out, lights dimmed, and power drained away like blood from a wound. No explosions, no sound, just a total blackout. "Report." Vorotan barked. "Shields offline. Navigation gone. Communications jammed." Every officer shouted over one another. The admiral slammed his clawed hand on the console. "Silence." The command deck froze. In the darkness, the holographic globe of Earth flickered on by itself. No power source, no command. It glowed bright white, spinning slowly. Then, a voice, clear, cold, and human, filled every ship in the fleet. "We heard you coming." The words echoed through the bridge, deep and calm. The tone was not angry, it was disappointed. Vorotan felt his throat tighten. "Trace it," the comms officer whispered. "It's coming from everywhere, Admiral. Every satellite, every ship, every system we have. The signal is inside us." The holographic globe began to change. Blue turned to red, and dots appeared all over Earth's surface. Hundreds, thousands, each glowing with deadly energy. "What are those?" an officer gasped. The science chief ran the numbers. "They are launch tubes, buried all across the planet. Each one is massive. I think," he stopped mid-sentence, staring at the screen. "Admiral, if these fire, there will be nothing left of us." Vorotan took a step forward, his voice steady but low. "Open a channel to the planet. Now." The comms officer hesitated. "Sir, they can already hear us." "Then let them." The admiral leaned toward the microphone. "This is Admiral Vorotan of the Galactic Union. We come in peace. Identify yourselves." The reply came instantly, cold and sharp like a blade through air. "Peace. You sent an army." Vorotan's blood chilled. The voice continued, soft but filled with authority. "You scanned our world. You entered our soil. You ignored the warnings. Earth does not welcome invaders." The admiral steadied himself. "We believed your species extinct." A brief pause. Then, "Extinction is a lie the galaxy told itself to sleep better." The screen went black. For several long minutes, no one spoke. Then the lights flickered back on. Power returned. Systems rebooted. Everything looked normal again, except for one thing. All of the fleet's navigation computers had been changed. Instead of coordinates to their home worlds, a single message filled every screen. "Leave orbit." Vorotan stayed at the words. "Are they threatening us?" The science officer shook his head slowly. "No, sir. They're giving us mercy." The admiral turned back toward the planet. His reflection shimmered faintly in the glass, golden eyes wide, pupils narrow. "If we leave now, we admit weakness. The Union will never forgive us." Another officer spoke softly. "If we stay, we may not live long enough to care." The silence in the room deepened. Finally, The admiral said, "Prepared defensive formations. No attacks. No provocation. I want eyes on every hemisphere." As the fleet repositioned, something strange appeared above Earth. Faint golden lines forming patterns in orbit. They looked like rings, almost invisible to the eye but burning on the scanners. "Sir," said the sensor chief, "those are not satellites. They are barriers. A global defense shield." A deep vibration rolled through space. One of the outer ships drifted too close to the invisible ring and vanished. No explosion, no debris, just gone. "By the stars," someone whispered. Vorotan's breathing slowed. "They've surrounded their world with something we don't understand." The bridge lights flickered once more. Every screen flashed white for a second, and a new human voice whispered through the speakers, softer this time, almost pitying. "You were warned." The admiral turned toward the planet, but now it looked different. The oceans glowed faintly beneath the clouds, and across the night side of the planet, lines of blue light formed vast patterns, like veins under skin. Earth was no longer silent. It was awake. The tension inside the Orion's will felt heavier than gravity itself. Every officer could feel it pressing on their chest, the weight of something ancient, powerful, and angry watching them from below. The galactic fleet floated above Earth like a ring of silver blades, their engines cold, their weapons armed but silent. No one dared to fire. Not after what they had seen. Not after the human voice. Admiral Vorotan stood at the center of the command deck, eyes locked on the planet below. "Status?" he asked, his tone sharp. "All systems operational," the science officer reported. "But say, Earth's surface energy continues to rise. Whatever's happening down there, it hasn't stopped." "How high?" The officer hesitated. "Off the scale, Admiral. We can't measure it anymore." A low growl escaped Vorotan's throat. "They are preparing for war." He turned to his communications officer. "Send a probe into low orbit. We need visuals." Minutes later, the small probe descended through the thin upper atmosphere. The fleet watched through its camera feed. Clouds rolled below, dark and endless. The planet's beauty was deceptive. Beneath those clouds lay secrets older than the Union itself. Entering lower orbit, the probe's operator said quietly, "Approaching the Pacific sector." Then, the camera shook violently. The operator's eyes widened. "What is that?" On the screen, something massive was moving under the ocean. A dark shape, longer than a continent, rising slowly toward the surface. Waves rolled outward for miles as the water began to boil. "Admiral, the ocean temperature is spiking," the science officer warned. "Seismic readings off the charts." Before he could finish, the sea erupted. A colossal structure broke through the surface. Black metal, smooth and silent, rising mile after mile. The water cascaded off its sides like waterfalls. It wasn't a ship. It was too large for that. It was a fortress, a floating platform the size of a small country. The admiral's breath caught in his throat. What in the stars? The probe's camera zoomed in. Strange symbols glowed faintly on the fortress surface. Human letters. One word. Sentinel. "Admiral," the comms officer whispered, "we're receiving a new signal from the structure. Put it through." A deep, cold human voice filled the bridge, clear and steady. "You were warned. Leave orbit." Every officer froze. Vorotan swallowed hard. "Can we respond?" "Yes, sir," the comms officer said. The admiral straightened, voice firm but calm. "This is Admiral Vorotan of the Galactic Union. We come in peace. We only seek communication." There was silence. Then, the human voice answered, lower, harsher. "Communication denied." Before Vorotan could reply, the massive fortress emitted a single flash of blue light. The probe feed went white and vanished. "Connection lost," the operator shouted. "The probe's gone. Destroyed." The officer checked the readings. "No, sir. There's no debris. It's just gone." Vorotan turned slowly toward the viewing window, staring at the calm blue planet. "So that's how it begins," he muttered. Across the fleet, defense systems activated automatically. Shields flared to life. Missiles were armed. Every captain awaited the admiral's command. "Sir," said the tactical officer quietly, "the Union Council is requesting a report. They are watching the broadcast live." "Tell them the truth," Vorotan said coldly. "Tell them Earth is not a target. It's a trap." Suddenly, the ship's radar screamed. Massive energy surges were rising from beneath Earth's crust. "Admiral, something's launching." On the main screen, thousands of small objects shot out from the planet's surface, glowing blue. They moved fast, too fast for scanners to track. Are they weapons? Unknown. Wait, they are drones. Thousands of them. The black swarm rose through the atmosphere like a storm. Each drone shimmered with strange energy signatures, their surfaces reflective and smooth like mirrors. "Form defensive grid." Vorotan shouted. "Do not fire unless fired upon." The drones spread out, surrounding the fleet in total silence. No lights, no movement, just floating, waiting. Then, one of the smaller alien cruisers panicked. Its captain, ignoring orders, opened fire. A single plasma burst streaked toward the nearest drone. The plasma hit. The drone shattered. For 1 second, everything was quiet. Then the sky exploded. The entire swarm lit up, turning the darkness into blinding blue light. Beams of energy shot outward in perfect precision, cutting through space. In seconds, 5 galactic ships were gone, vaporized. "Return fire!" Vorotan roared. The fleet unleashed everything they had: plasma, rail charges, ion beams. The vacuum filled with light and chaos. Drones burst apart by the hundreds, but for every one destroyed, 10 more appeared. The admiral gritted his teeth. "They are not attacking to kill us," he realized. "They are testing us." "How can you tell?" "Because if they wanted us dead," Vorotan said, staring at the glowing planet below, "we'd already be gone." Suddenly, the human voice returned, louder, clearer, filling every comm channel across the fleet. "You sent an army. We sent a warning. Leave now, or face what you woke." The sound was so strong that it made the consoles vibrate. The admiral stared at the glowing fortress in the ocean. "And what exactly did we wake?" he whispered. The answer came as the planet itself began to change. Across the night side of Earth, massive lines of light appeared, spreading across continents, connecting oceans and mountains. The glowing pattern formed a vast circular symbol, a sigil that stretched across the entire surface of the world. The sensor chief gasped. "Admiral, those lines are energy conduits. They are charging something deep under the crust." "How long until activation?" "Less than 10 minutes. The admiral's pulse pounded in his throat. He turned to his officers. "Signal all ships to pull back to high orbit. No one stays near the planet." The fleet began to retreat, engines flaring as they rose higher above Earth. But even from that distance, the glow was too bright. The blue light grew stronger, rising through the atmosphere like mist. Then the fortress, the sentinel, spoke one last time. "This world does not seek peace. It remembers." A single beam of pure white light erupted from the ocean platform, shooting into the sky. It passed straight through the fleeing fleet, harmless but terrifying, a warning shot that stretched across the solar system. Vorotan gripped the railing, heart racing. "Stand down," he said finally, his voice low. "They've shown us mercy once. We won't get another." He looked at the silent world one last time, his reflection trembling in the glass. "Whatever humans became," he whispered, "they're not the same species that built cities. They built something far greater and far more dangerous." The bridge fell quiet again. The ocean fortress sank slowly back beneath the waves, leaving only ripples behind, as if it had never existed. But every officer on the fleet knew better. Earth was no longer a mystery. It was a warning. And the galaxy had just been reminded of what happens when you wake a sleeping giant. The storm over the Pacific grew darker than night itself. Bolts of lightning laced the sky, but they weren't natural. They pulsed in patterns, forming geometric lines that spread across the atmosphere like veins of living light. The galactic fleet hovered in orbit, scanning in confusion and fear as their instruments went blind. Admiral Vorotan stood rigid on the Orion's will bridge. "Status report," he barked. "Admiral, planet-wide anomaly detected," shouted the sensor officer. "The energy core beneath the crust, it's fully active. And it's connecting to the weather systems, the magnetic field, even the orbit itself." A deep tremor shook the fleet. On every monitor, lines of code appeared, written in an ancient human format. Then, one by one, the ship's computers began rebooting. "They are hacking us," cried the communications officer. "By who?" "The humans are extinct." The admiral slammed his clawed hand against the console. "Enough. Shut down all external connections. Isolate the fleet network. Now." But it was too late. The code had already spread. The lights flickered. One of the smaller destroyers, Raven's Edge, suddenly turned its cannons toward its own allies. "Admiral, we've lost control of the Raven. It's targeting us." The destroyer fired. Blazing plasma bolts streaked through the void, cutting across the fleet. One ship exploded instantly, a burst of fire scattering debris into the stars. "Return fire," ordered Vorotan. "Disable that vessel." Missiles roared from the Orion's will, slamming into the rogue ship. It broke apart in silence. But even as its wreckage burned, the data corruption spread. One by one, ships across the fleet began shutting down. Weapons froze. Engines stalled. It was as if Earth had reached out and wrapped invisible hands around them. Then a voice filled every speaker, soft, calm, undeniably human. "Cease aggression. This planet is under protection." The bridge went silent. Every officer turned to the admiral. "Replay that," Vorotan said, barely above a whisper. The voice repeated, "Cease aggression. This planet is under protection. Violators will be neutralized." "Where is it coming from?" asked the sensor chief. The answer came before anyone could respond. From the dark side of the moon, a massive structure emerged, angular, black as night, with faint blue lights running across its hull. It looked nothing like any alien design. "Admiral," whispered the communications officer. "That's human." The ship was colossal, almost the size of the Orion's will itself. As it rotated into sunlight, ancient words on its hull became clear. "UNS Odyssey, Human Defense Fleet Command." Gasps filled the bridge. "That's impossible," Vorotan muttered. "This ship should have decayed centuries ago." But the Odyssey was moving, alive, functional, and powerful. Massive energy signatures built around it. Thousands of smaller defense drones detached from its hull, forming neat formations. "Admiral," said the science officer in awe, "the technology is beyond anything we've ever seen. Their power output is off the scale." The human voice returned, this time sharper. "Unknown fleet, you have trespassed into restricted space. Identify yourselves." Vorotan hesitated, then gave a slow nod. "Open a channel." "I'll answer." Static buzzed, and then the Admiral's cold voice filled the transmission. "This is Admiral Vorotan of the Galactic Union. We come in peace. We believed this world to be abandoned." A long silence followed. Then the voice replied, "Earth is never abandoned. You were warned." Suddenly, several of the drones around the Odyssey ignited, their engines glowing like miniature suns. They surrounded the fleet in a precise grid, forming an invisible barrier. "Admiral," the sensor officer cried, "they've locked us inside an energy field. We can't jump to hyperspace." Vorotan gritted his teeth. "Ready the plasma batteries. Prepare for evasive." Before he could finish, a new message appeared on every ship's display. It was an image, a human face. A woman, stern, gray-eyed, wearing a dark uniform with the insignia of the United Earth Defense Network. "This is Commander Lyra Chen," she said, her voice echoing with authority. "You are violating post-war quarantine protocols. Identify your species and surrender your ships for inspection." The admiral stared at her, speechless. "Humans survived." The commander tilted her head slightly. "Survived? Admiral, we endured. Now you will tell me why you've come here armed." Vorotan straightened. "We came seeking peace, but we were met with silence. We detected no life. Your planet appeared dead. Silence, Chen replied coldly, is sometimes the best defense. The Admiral hesitated, choosing his next words carefully. Then perhaps you should explain what happened to the last expeditions we sent. Her eyes darkened. They were warned. They didn't listen. They didn't leave. Gasps rippled through the bridge. You destroyed them. Vorotan demanded. They forced our hand, she said. The war left this galaxy in chaos. We built the Odyssey to keep Earth hidden, to let the galaxy heal. You weren't supposed to find us. A deep rumble echoed through the comms. The Odyssey's main cannon began to charge, lighting up the void. Commander Chen, Vorotan said quickly, you don't understand. Oh, I understand perfectly, she interrupted. You brought weapons to our doorstep, and history has shown what happens when others come for Earth. The blue glow of the cannon intensified, casting light across the fleet. The Admiral raised a hand, shouting, all ships, prepare defensive maneuvers. The human commander's voice softened just slightly. You should have stayed away. And with that, a beam of pure energy erupted from the Odyssey, splitting the darkness like a blade of light. The first galactic cruiser caught in the blast disintegrated instantly. The others scattered, engines roaring, as alarms screamed across every deck. Earth was awake now, and it wasn't going to hide anymore. The blast from the UNS Odyssey ripped through the galactic fleet like a burning spear. Ships scattered in chaos, shields flaring under the unimaginable force. The shockwave rippled through space, leaving behind a storm of debris and fear. On the bridge of the Orion's Will, Admiral Vorotan gripped the railing as lights flickered red. Damage report, he shouted. Shields at 30%. Several cruisers destroyed, his officer yelled back. We can't hold another direct hit. Vorotan's jaw tightened. His golden eyes locked on the screen showing Earth and its guardian, the Odyssey, silent and immovable like a god of war. Admiral, said the science officer, voice trembling, their weapon, it's using energy we've never recorded before. It's bending gravity itself. This is not conventional technology. The Admiral's claws dug into the metal. How can a primitive species? The officer cut him off. Sir, they are not primitive. Not anymore. On the other side of the void, Commander Lyra Chen stood on her bridge, watching the chaos unfold. Her face remained calm, but her hands shook slightly. Around her, human officers worked with silent precision, old veterans of a forgotten war. Confirm fleet retreat vectors, she ordered. Admiral Vorotan's forces are scattering, replied her lieutenant. They are trying to reposition beyond the moon's shadow. Lyra nodded. Good. Don't destroy them yet. Her second-in-command frowned. Yet. Lyra turned her gaze toward Earth, her planet glowing quietly below, surrounded by invisible energy grids that hummed like sleeping dragons. We need them to understand what Earth became, what the old war left behind. Centuries earlier, the Great War had torn through the stars, a war started by fear. Humanity, seen as unstable and aggressive, had been attacked first. But Earth didn't fall easily. They had built machines that could think, weapons that could reshape physics itself. And when victory turned to vengeance, the galaxy begged for peace. Humanity disappeared soon after, retreating into silence. Many believed they were wiped out. But Earth had simply sealed itself away. Back aboard the Orion's Will, Vorotan stared at the sensor readings. Every system is rebooting. They are jamming our long-range communication. We can't call for reinforcements. Admiral, said the comms officer, the human commander is sending a transmission again. Put her through. The face of Commander Lyra Chen filled the main screen. Her tone was calm, but her eyes were sharp as blades. Admiral Vorotan, she said, you have entered restricted space belonging to the United Earth Defense Network. Leave immediately. You attacked us. Vorotan snapped. We came in peace. You came armed, she replied coldly. You scanned our cities. You deployed troops. Peace does not arrive with warships. The Admiral clenched his fists. We thought your world was dead. We meant no harm. Then leave, Chen said. Not until we have answers, he growled. You vanished for centuries, destroy entire expeditions, and now threaten us with extinction. What are you hiding, Commander? Lyra Chen's expression hardened. The truth, Admiral. The kind you are not ready to face. Static filled the connection for a second. When the screen cleared, it displayed something shocking. Old footage. Black and white images from the Great War. Human warships fighting fleets from dozens of alien worlds. Cities burning. Worlds collapsing. These are your ancestors, Chen said quietly. And this was the cost. The last frame froze on a massive blast engulfing a planet. A voice, old, male, and broken, echoed over the recording. If we are to survive, humanity must disappear. Gasps rippled through the galactic bridge. What is this? Vorotan demanded. The end, Chen said. Your species, your allies, your entire union, all of it exists because of the peace treaty we enforced with our silence. Humanity left the stage so you could build your new order. Her eyes glowed faintly blue, the mark of a neural link interface. But now you've broken the seal, and old defenses have awakened. Before Vorotan could respond, the ship shuddered. Sensors screamed. A massive power surge erupted from the planet below. Admiral, shouted the sensor chief. Earth's defense grid is activating. Thousands of automated platforms emerging from orbit. On screen, metallic orbs rose from the planet's atmosphere, silent, symmetrical, each one glowing with blue light. They spread across orbit in precise formations. Are those drones? No, whispered the science officer. They are weapons. Planetary guardians. Commander Chen's voice returned, now broadcast to every ship in orbit. You were warned. Leave, or face the wrath of Earth's legacy. The Admiral's voice shook. You're risking total war. War. Chen's tone was calm, almost sad. The last war never ended, Admiral. It just slept. Then, in the far distance, another anomaly appeared, a ripple in space, spreading outward from the planet's surface. Sir, something's opening beneath the Atlantic Ocean, cried the sensor officer. A moment later, the ocean split. From beneath the waves, an enormous structure began to rise, hundreds of kilometers wide, glowing with ancient power. It wasn't a ship. It was a fortress, a planetary command core. Admiral, the science officer whispered, staring in awe. That's not a weapon. It's a gate. Lyra Chen's face returned on the screen one last time. You wanted to find Earth. Now you've found what we became. The connection cut off. In orbit, the Odyssey turned its massive cannon toward the galactic fleet once again. But this time, it didn't fire. It simply waited, watching. Beneath the blue oceans, deep within the newly risen fortress, something ancient hummed to life. Old machines that hadn't moved for hundreds of years. A red light blinked, and a deep voice echoed through the control halls of Earth's sleeping defense network. Authorization code recognized. War Protocol Alpha resumed. Admiral Vorotan's eyes widened as the translation scrolled across his display. The humans, he whispered, are preparing for war. And far below, under the waves, the core of Earth began to pulse, heartbeat by heartbeat, as the ghosts of the old war awakened once more.